And then we have some developments in terms of the Iran-US relations or Iran and US deal, however we want to look at it. As we spoke in previous videos, US somewhat hardened its stance. Everybody expected it to sort of return to the deal, but Blinken and Biden sort of came out and said that until Iran doesn't go back to full compliance, we are not coming back. So in face of that, Iran has announced that they're gonna reduce their commitments to the deal even further by 23rd of February unless they see some action by American government. So before 23rd of February, there's going to be a meeting tomorrow between the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, and his counterparts in Europe about Iran's plan to reduce its commitments. At the same time, I think on Saturday, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. I don't know why, but I always have a trouble pronouncing their acronym. Rafael Grossi is coming to Iran to have negotiations or have talks with Iranian authorities again about their planned decision to reduce their commitments to the deal on 23rd of February. So things are basically, things are getting real. At least I don't think Iran can back down at this point. They've been saying this for a couple of months, so they have to either go reduce their commitments or other side may come up with some actions. Otherwise, it seems Iran's reduction of commitments is unavoidable at this point. But at the same time, you had the supreme leader give a speech, and he said that Iran is ready to go back to the deal and full compliance as soon as we see any action or a single action from American or European from the other sides in the deal. And he, I think, here justifiably said that we have heard a lot of good things and a lot of good there's been a lot of good promises, but not much has been delivered, so we are waiting for a real action before we do anything. And then Iranian President Rouhani went even somewhat further in the in terms of rhetoric, you can say, and he said that Iran will immediately go back to the full compliance if US goes back to the deal and Europeans, everybody honors their obligations to the deal. If, for example, US goes back to the deal tonight, we'll be in full compliance by the day after noon or the day after afternoon or something. So, Iran is again and again emphasizing that they have been the ones that have been honoring the deal for much longer and have been waiting, and they really need to see real action, to be honest. But at the same time, Americans are playing a very, you can't read them at this point. Sometimes they seem very positive. Sometimes they seem to be no. Who knows at this point. But I thought I share these developments. Another interesting somewhat related development was that Israeli ambassador to US also commented and said that if US goes back to the deal with the Iran, Israel may not join their strategy. So I don't know what that exactly means, and there's been a lot of speculation about potential Israeli independent strike, against Iran without American consent or knowledge. But again, I find that highly unlikely. Israel may try to undermine American foreign policy, but I doubt they'll go openly against it. But that's what Gilon Arden, I believe, are done. I'm mispronouncing names right and left here. But yeah, I think that's what he said. That they, if they will probably not follow with Joe Biden's strategy towards Iran, as they didn't in many ways during Obama. So it's not that surprising.
So, but you mentioned that the chief of IAEA is going to Iran next week to have talks. Did you also mention that apparently France and the US will be holding meetings? France, US, and others, I think. or three European nations, yeah, will hold talks with the U.S. over Iran
Oh,
on Thursday.
yeah, that's what I meant by Anthony Blinken meeting
Mm,
his foreign European counterparts to have talks.
interesting.
Basically, all these talks are basically, it seems to be about a strategy as to come up with a strategy to respond to either stop or delay Iran's reduction of commitments,
Hmm.
or to what will be our response? Will we go harsher, or will we, start giving some, ground to Iranians?
And last week, Macron kind of like, suggested that the Saudis should be involved in the negotiations, but no more talks about that since. Have you heard anything else? Or?
Mm, No, no, that was quite interesting because, with Trump gone, Saudis kind of lost their biggest supporter within the European and American
Yeah.
countries, Western countries. But it was quite. I think that Macron keeps trying to come off as a more of an international leader,
Yeah.
so his popularity inside France sort of gets a bump. I don't think he's very successful, to be honest, and that caused a lot of anger in Iran because they just they found that to be very offensive somewhat, that there's been a deal, they broke the deal, and now they want to add a new member to the deal. But it was interesting. It was
Yeah.
interesting of Macron to do that.
And just like I mentioned this last week also, but China seems to remain quiet for now. I mean, you forget that they were part of the deal.
Yeah, China always comes out and they say, they don't support the sanctions on
But it's
Iran,
funny,
and
they
they
don't even take
suggest.
part in these meetings with like the Europeans and the Americans,
Oh, no,
like
no.
why
Well,
not?
well, because they're not really invited. That they are on the Iranian side. China and Russia are on the Iranian
True,
side.
even
So
the
that's
Russians are not there, yeah. I mean the right, yeah.
yeah. No, no, that's
True.
definitely because of they have meetings with Iranians and
Yeah.
Russians.
But I guess the
Let's hope
Russians,
then
sorry, so I'm
Russians.
guessing the Russians and the Chinese at the end of the day will be okay with anything that Iran is okay with, huh?
Yeah, yeah, large. Yeah, yeah. To be honest, they are not like Russia. A lot of times they could have used their veto powers to stop sanctions
Mm-hmm.
against Iran, but they didn't. So the idea that they're not really, there is far less coordination among Iran, Russia, China bloc, or let's say among the
Yeah.
developing countries bloc, or resistance countries bloc, whatever you want to call them. There's much less coordination and uh, you know um, uh, synchronity compared
Yeah, yeah.
to US and Europe, so to speak.
Yeah, no, for sure. They
Yeah,
have
yeah.
much more to discuss, I feel. But yeah, okay. All right. Thanks a lot. Anything else?
Not on this, to be honest,
Yeah,
but
no.
yeah, it will be 23rd of
Yeah.
February is the day to look forward
Yeah.
to if you're, following these type of news.
And there's still Thursday and Friday. Let's see if anything else comes out on this issue before the weekend arrives. Then usually you take it easy. Pick negotiations back up again on Monday. Okay. All right.
Hopefully.
Okay. Thank you everybody for watching this video. If you like the content, please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video. Thank you.